Yes, everyone, welcome back to the channel. Stephen Howson, Manchester United, Everton tactical preview. United come into this game having scored our first goal since the Carabao Cup final on our way to a 1-0 victory against Brentford midweek. That puts us back in the top four, but obviously hanging on by a thread. Haven't got an important point in a crazy game against Tottenham at Goodison on Monday after a Michael Keane rocket managed to draw them level with Spurs very, very late on. Everton are now unbeaten in their last four Premier League games and 16th, level on points with Nottingham Forest, Bournemouth and West Ham, who are struggling, it must be said. Dyche won the 2-0 game at Old Trafford with Burnley back in January 2020, and he would be the first English manager to win away against us in the Premier League with two different clubs, the fifth manager overall with Brendan Rodgers, Jose, Martin O'Neill and Rafa Benitez having all achieved that prior to him. Everton have won just one of their last 29 away games against United with 8 draws and 20 defeats, the last one being a 1-0 victory back in December 2013. They've also scored in each of their last Premier League games against United. They've never scored in 10 consecutive games against us, which is a mad stat. It's also United's longest winning run without a clean sheet against a Premier League opposition. So this could go either way, couldn't it? In terms of how they play with Dyche, as expected, when he first came in, we expected him to go with the 4-4-2, and he deployed it extensively throughout a decade in charge at Burnley, but actually it's looked more like a 4-5-1 all the way since he's been at Everton, with Doucouré, who frozen out during the final weeks of Frank Lampard's reign, being especially critical as the legs in the centre of the park alongside Idrissa Gueye and Onana, but he's going to be suspended after the sending off against Tottenham. Dyche has got alternative options at his disposal with the likes of Tom Davies and potentially James Garner that he could throw in the mix, but neither of those are really like a close like-for-like replacement. Dyche has adopted much of the same principles he did at Burnley. It depends on energy, vertical play, physicality, as well as a lot less playing out from the back than you generally see in the modern Premier League. Some of the data from the mainstays in the back four seems to back this up since Sean Dyche's appointment. You've seen Jordan Pickford hit 67.8% of his passes long, 40 yards or more, which is up from 50% prior. James Tarkowski's number of touches has dropped from 65 to 46 per 90, and his passing accuracy has gone down as well over the 8 matches prior to the Spurs game. Seamus Coleman, number of touches is down to 49 from 55 per 90, but he's making more progressive passes. And that style is just seen as being more direct. And we've seen a number of final third passes double to 2.4 per 90 as well. So there's some very obvious changes that's easy to identify in the data of what's happening with Everton. Now, there's been a significant increase in the work ethic. Obviously, that midfield three dynamic, athletic players that are going to make it very difficult to play through and against Everton. And it gives them the option of being very dangerous from set plays. And they thrive on that. They thrive off ball recoveries, second balls, loose balls. They're extremely combative out of possession, and they press when they have the opportunity. They spring out of a mid-block and get right in your face, and when they win the ball back, they can hurt you on a transition with the likes of Iwobi and Demarai Gray, who seem to always turn up against United. Demarai Gray is also being deployed as a little bit of an auxiliary striker in the absence of Calvert-Lewin. Expected 11 is going to be this, and the star man, probably Iwobi. He's had a pretty good season on the quiet, and he's a very important player for them in and out of possession. He'll be the first phase outlet on a transition. He's a great ball carrier from deep, loves to get on the ball, in possession, and move the ball forward. And with Shaw being injured, I think he's going to be someone that they're going to look to try and target on that right-hand side. Amongst Everton, in the league this season, Iwobi ranks top for possessions won in the final third with 26, chances created with 47, which is excellent, successful take-ons with 41, and we've also seen highs from him for possession won in the final third and chances created, only completing more take-ons in previous campaigns, which was back in 2021. A combination of him and Demarai Gray will be very dangerous for Everton, and one that we've got to watch. In terms of the United side, there's obviously going to be a couple of changes, and I've got to bring McTominay in for this just on the basis of a small midfield gets absolutely run over, and if it was Fred, Bruno, from a physical point of view, they get absolutely punched up. It would be a mauling. So I'm bringing in McTominay alongside Sabitzer, with Bruno ahead of them, and we're going to go Sancho on the right, Rashford on the left, Tony Marshall down the middle, Malacia left back, Wan-Bissaka right back, Varane, Martinez, De Gea. So we need the physicality in midfield, and that's where McTominay does help, and that's where he can be useful. Starman for United, I think it's time for it to be Anthony Martial. He's been pretty effective and pretty good when he's played. Ten Hag mentioned he wasn't ready to start. Let's hopeful that he can actually be ready to start this week. When he's on song, he brings a level of quality that doesn't really exist outside of him in the squad in terms of the close control and the finishing. Rashford's been very much on form, but he gets even better when them two combine, because they do combine really well. And he's always been one of the better finishers, but we're going to need to be clinical against Everton because they are not going to give you any sniff of a chance. This is Sean Dyche, and he is there to just spoil every party that he goes to. How do you beat this Everton team? It starts with being careful on set plays. One thing that Everton bring is they're a big side and they do not mind throwing it in the mixer. They have got countless aerial threats, do not give free kicks away, limit how many corners there's going to be. Tarkowski has to be accounted for because he is a threat at those. Creativity is going to be key. We will need to be at our attacking best because they will be difficult to break down, especially coming to Old Trafford. They're not even going to entertain making it a contest. Bruno Fernandes needs to be at his creative best. I thought he was excellent in a deeper role against Brentford, still creating chances. I would push him a little bit higher up the pitch and ask him to keep on doing what he's doing with creating. Hopeful crosses into the box will really suit their centre-halves, so he's going to have to be a little bit better with his delivery in the final third, but he would still be the one that creates the chances. And then you've got to be wary of the counter. Demarai Gray, Iwobi are dangerous players on the counter. McNeil on the left has got an excellent quality on the transition, and he can find those attackers. He can also deliver a cross at set plays. You cannot leave too much space to be hit on the transition because they will take that and they will be waiting for that. And even though I think McTominay isn't great positionally as a number 6, he's going to have to be in that spot and stopping things happen in that spot right there and be on the pitch for the set piece and the aerial threat. You've got to show the same sort of intensity that we've shown against Brentford and just make it boring and easy. And that's what we want, a boring, easy win for United, but it will be tough. Let me know your thoughts on how that's going to go in the comments, and I'll see you lot in the next one. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.